Welcome to the very first Give I.E podcast, a podcast where we bring in some of the best and most amazing and most impactful community and charitable organizations throughout the Inland Empire and especially here in Riverside. And so today I'm here with Debbie with Rebirth Homes, an organization that just does amazing work, very important work here in the city of Riverside. And so I'm really happy to have Debbie with me here today. Thank you for joining us. Debbie, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Debbie Martis, and I'm the founder and CEO of Rebirth Homes. We exist to fight human trafficking through education and by providing a long-term residential healing program for survivors of human trafficking. We are located here in Riverside, and we currently have 3 homes for women who have been trafficked in Riverside County. We serve women from not only our region, but from the U.S. and sometimes other countries.
Yeah, I think that's something that was so impactful for myself, because you think about human trafficking and you think of it being in some distant land, somewhere far away. And it wasn't until I came to your guys' gala and I heard one of the survivors of human trafficking speak, and it really hit home for me that that this is happening right here. And people need help here. One thing I love about the organization that I'm a part of, and 2% of all the proceeds that we have goes towards fighting human trafficking, but it's in Africa, it's in Thailand, it's in all these far off places, and you really drove it home that this is happening here. So how did Rebirth Homes start? Like where did the concept come from? Where did that push? Like, yeah. Debbie, do this.
Yeah. So my background actually is a mix of ministry and working in the for-profit sector. And I had a really great job that I absolutely loved. I was making a lot of money in the for-profit sector. And in 2008, God called me into ministry full-time. And I had joined the staff of my previous church and attended a conference in 2008. And one of the speakers talked about human trafficking and the fact that there were 28 million people trafficked around the globe. And I felt like I had been living in a bubble, to be honest. And it was the only thing, even to this day, that I remember about that conference. It was a small part of it, but big impact. And so really my initial response was, we need to fix this. Like, this is not okay. And God stopped me in my tracks and called me into a season of prayer. And so I wrote in my Bible, it was one of the Psalms about breaking the chains. And I wrote in my Bible to pray for actually it was 27 million people, and to pray for them every day and to pray for those doing the work. And so I thought that was my role. I thought I would just be praying forever. Like, okay, I'm going to pray for the people doing the work. And after 4 years of prayer in 2012, God gave the vision for Rebirth Homes. And I was working on a project, and it was literally like a download of information. And this whole ministry plan was written out. It was like 5 or 6 pages long. And I thought, okay, I'm not sure where this is going to go. And to be honest, in the very beginning, back in 2012, I thought, that was just an idea. And so I kind of was like,
sure,
okay, we'll just pretend like it's an idea. Right. And so every book,
it's easier that way, right?
It's easier that way. And I kept on picking up books randomly, and they were talking about slavery. And I could not escape whatever that was that God had planned. And so part of what inspired, I believe how God inspired me, was walking with a very close family member through addiction. And it was actually one of my daughters. I almost lost her to addiction. And I saw the power of God and his redemption. And I had seen it, but not to that level. It was literally taking someone from death into life. And so God was using all of this to stir me up. And so when he gave the vision for Rebirth Homes, coupled with the fact that human trafficking has now grown to about 50 million people around the globe.
Over
It's
double from the time when you started this journey.
Yeah, so it's grown by about 1 million people per year. And it's just this growing epidemic that is not only affecting the victims. If you think about 50 million people, then we think about the purchasers and the traffickers, and we're talking millions and millions of people who are affected or enslaved into trafficking.
Goodness gracious. So obviously, getting it started took a lot of courage to get that up and going. What were the steps next to actually formulate it? Where did the support come from? Because obviously, what you do takes more than just you doing it, right? You got to have other people with the same vision. How did you find those people? I'm sure God just put them right in front of you, like, hey, here's your soldiers, right? Can you tell me about the other people that have also kind of played a part in kind of getting this up and going? Because Lord knows we don't do it alone. Obviously we look to Him for a lot of support, but it's nice to have the support structure around you as well. Going back to kind of the early stages, you got the call to make this happen. What were the first steps to actually doing it? Because the first steps are always the hardest, right? Aside from making the decision to take action. So what did you do to get the organization? Well, what did you do to turn it into an organization?
Yeah, really good question. Back in 2012, right after God gave me the vision, I would meet one person. And that one person, I would be brave enough to say, yeah, I think we're supposed to open homes for survivors of human trafficking. They would say, oh, yeah, that's the greatest need. Or, one of them said, we've been praying for homes for a year. And so it was one person at a time. And one of the people who is actually on our board, she has walked with me from the very beginning. And I think knowing that each person that God places on the path for a season of time, sometimes that's a long season, sometimes it's a short season, but every single person makes an impact. And so in 2000, I think it was around 2013, I met someone named Anne, whom you know.
I do. Sweetheart. Absolute sweetheart, yes.
Yeah, so she had her own trafficking related story and was pretty passionate about, hey, let's make this happen. And her husband opened their home for our first fundraising dinner in 2014. And from 2013 to 2014, we had to work on things like a 501c3 and all that structural stuff. And along the way, every week, we had a team of people who would get together and pray, and we would meet at the Bobby Bonds Center right on University, which I later discovered was known as a track, a very active one where trafficking happens in our city. And it wasn't as evident when we were praying, but we definitely encountered a lot of different things when we were out praying. So all of this is happening simultaneously. And what I love to see is just the power of prayer and the power of joining God on His mission. And I truly believe that Rebirth Homes is a reflection of joining God on His journey. And anytime I start to think, oh, yeah, we could go this way, I'm like, no, it's your ministry. I'm the person that said yes. And so I need to follow Him. But yeah, it was a community of people. We still have a community of people, too many to list right now, but there is a very large community of people, even people from overseas. We have supporters in Australia. So Um,
Yeah.
it is a large community that has said, we want to provide the opportunity for life change for survivors of human trafficking. And that's why we do what we do. That is God's plan, to give them hope and a future.
Yeah. Now, it was always the vision to have a physical home for them to go to? That's something that
Mhm.
um, a lot of other organizations that do help housing and a program behind it sometimes aren't involved. So, how did the first home come to be? And then let us know where you're at now.
Sure. Yeah. So it's kind of a funny story, actually. In 2014, at the first fundraiser, I was like, yeah, I can't see why God wouldn't open the first home in 2014. And it was like, I kept thinking, oh, next year's the year. Oh, next year's the year. And so we actually identified the property for our first home. I think it was in 2015. It was scheduled to be ready in 2016, but we didn't open until 2017. So it was literally from 2012 to 2017, God laying the groundwork. He was tilling the soil,
Mm.
and we did not know, I didn't know what I was saying yes to. And so after we opened the first home, I remember thinking, maybe 5 years wasn't enough time of preparation. Um, so it is a definitely, it has been, I learn every day. But so we opened our first home in 2017. Then we opened our second home in 2020, right before the pandemic. And then we just recently acquired a home in Corona, which is our third home. And so we are working on expanding our long-term residential program, which is a 2-year program.
That's incredible. So, obviously, an organization founded and driven by faith, but also a program that is as well.
Mm.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the process whenever you find an individual in need that needs to be rescued from human trafficking? What's that process from like the first interaction to finding if they're a good fit for the program and if you can walk through that, that'd be great.
Sure. Um, it is a difficult process. So sometimes we will do what's called the kind of the extraction. So we're extracting them out of their situation. We aren't doing that as much as we did earlier on, just because we do partner with law enforcement, and the ideal is for them to do that. Um, Honestly, sometimes timing wise, I'm like, if we can get them out right now, let's do it, without compromising safety of our team.
Yeah, yeah.
So so there's that part of it. What I've seen over the years, we've worked with close to 400 um, victims of human trafficking, and what we've seen is that there's some event that causes the opportunity for intervention. So it could be that the pimp or trafficker is arrested, and then the victims, which they're called victims while they're being trafficked, um, at that point in time, there is that opportunity to provide some type of services. So we do provide advocacy as well, and accompany law enforcement when they are doing operations. And our goal is always to connect with the victims at the operation and offer the opportunity. Hey, do you want services? Do you want a way out? The normal response is no.
Right.
So it is a long process in most cases. Sometimes we just happen to be at the right time where they're ready to say, you know what, I'm ready to leave. But because of the relationships, most people are trafficked by someone they love and trust. So it's not a simple, most trafficking situations aren't kidnapping or, that guerrilla type of trafficking where somebody's grabbed off those streets. It doesn't usually happen like that. It's usually a friend, family member, or someone who they're close to that is the trafficker. So trying to get them out of that situation into some type of safe space is the first hard step. So then once we've connected with them, and if they are ready, we do have an intake process that we go through. And it's a few interviews. We try to meet with them in person. And really, for our long term residential program, because it is 2 years, we provide employment, counseling, um, life skill courses. So we do a lot within the program that is focused on that long term sustainability. So we're assessing, is this person ready? Are they really wanting to kind of work on that trauma and move forward? Or are they more focused on, hey, I just need a safe place to sleep? And so that is the reason we do the intakes the way we do. And if they are just looking for a safe space, we do have some partners and we have access to a national network. So we will work to get them into a safe space while they're figuring out their next step.
The lady that spoke at your gala, it was super heart wrenching because there was also kids involved.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do you find that tends to be the case occasionally? I mean, hers was almost the kids were being held,
Mm.
right? Um, I mean, what type of obstacles do you guys have to face? Because they're facing them. Which is why a lot of times you get the no, I don't need help, because
Mm.
in the back of their mind, there's either fear, necessity, perhaps addiction plays a part every now and then. Like, what have you seen that has prevented, or I won't say prevented, but kept these women having to live this kind of life?
Mm. That's really good. So there is the Stockholm syndrome where they are in love with the trafficker and will continue to do whatever is asked, which I think that psychological connection is one of the hardest to break. Part of what the traffickers will do, so trafficking, I'll back up a little bit. Trafficking is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to traffic someone, which means to sell them for, usually the two main things are sex or labor, and the trafficker is keeping all of the money. So they're forced to do this. Um, so when it comes to the the barriers. The other one that we see a lot is the trafficker has taken their forms of ID. So they'll take anything they have, like birth certificate, driver's license, passport, whatever they can get their hands on, they take it. And now they have access to family members who addresses, right? So whatever is on those forms of ID, now the trafficker can say, I'm going to kill your family if
Right.
you leave, or I'm going to hurt your family members. It does happen. It's very real. That is not something in TV. That literally is a very real threat. So there's that part as well. When it comes to children, generally speaking, children are living with family members or they are in the foster system. And we've seen that, and most of it goes is tied to trafficking, but it also could be addiction and or homelessness. Any of those factors could have played a part in the children not being with the mom. That's not to say that there's also the cyclical part of familial trafficking where the mom is trafficked, she has a child, that child is trafficked. And so it's I guess, multifaceted to answer the question.
Yeah. Yeah, the being a father myself, if well-being and safety of my children was being held over my head, I'd probably do anything that I had to do to keep them safe.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that there's individuals out there that are willing to threaten a family member in order to force somebody into servitude. I think as a man, the I think for men in general, when we think of prostitution, Hollywood in a lot of ways has glamorized it and taken the rough edges of what it is away. And I think it's important for everybody to recognize that there's no glamour behind what these women are having to go through.
Mm.
And I think it that really became all the more real when I attended your guys' gala last year.
Mm.
You know, you see it, and for the average person, you're probably just like, oh, that's terrible. You see somebody on the street and selling themselves, you're like, oh, that's terrible, or it's this, or it's that, or the other. But a lot of times you forget to see the person.
Mm.
And who they are, and you don't think about the circumstances that put them there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people may see somebody on the street, selling sex, and think that it's just the oldest profession in the world. Right?
Yeah.
It's just the job they're doing. It's a choice they're making.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that a lot of times it almost doesn't feel like there is a choice for a lot of these individuals. So I'm glad that there's an organization like Rebirth Homes and many others that recognize that there needs to be an avenue for help, because a lot of folks out there will just turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
And we forget that these are our brothers and sisters out there on the street. You guys have some events throughout the year where people can contribute, and I'm sure that you guys are very open to volunteers helping, and whether it just be financially or hands-on. So how can people in the community that really want to help make an impact through Rebirth Homes, how can they get involved?
Great question. So we ask for 4 ways. The first one is for you to be praying for us. First and foremost, we welcome and love prayer. Second is volunteering. Most of the volunteer opportunities are related to our events or administration. We also have a hospitality team that creates events for the participants in our programs. So those are just some of the ways to volunteer. And then the third way is to donate financially to Rebirth Homes. We depend on the support of our community to fund our programs. And so our website, rebirthhomes.com, is the way to just sign up. And so we would love for you to partner in that way. And then the fourth way, which is kind of a fun way, is our Freedom Shop is also on our website, rebirthhomes.com. And our Freedom Shop sells survivor-made products. So we provide employment to the women in our programs, our residential programs, and we actually make products in-house and sell products from our sister organization in Tennessee as well. So all of the products in our Freedom Shop are made by survivors of human trafficking. So when you buy a product, you're supporting employment of women who have been trafficked.
That's amazing. I've been on your website. I've perused through there, donated myself because I do truly believe in your cause, and prayer is easy. Financially giving is easy as well. And I encourage everybody to do that. And if you have the time and the means, get hands-on. But I'm sure every little bit helps, even if it's just saying a prayer for you guys. I mean, that's how this whole thing got started, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have a gala every year, and as we get close to the gala, I really want to have you back on. But can you tell everybody a little bit about the gala?
Sure. Yeah, we this year we will have our gala on October 17th, which is the same date as last year, but different day. So it will be a Friday night. It is at the Grove Church in Riverside. And Aaron O'Brien, if you've been to our previous galas, he is our MC, comedian, magician. I have no idea how he does what he does. I keep asking him, but he won't tell me. So we will hear from different. We always want to make sure that the people who have lived through the experience, their voices are heard. So that will be part of our program. And from what I've heard, I think the food is great, and the experience, while it is heart moving, it is also a good experience. So we will be looking for sponsors for the event, corporate, individual sponsors, table sponsors, and attendees as well. And the best way to stay connected with us is to sign up for our newsletter, which again is on our website, rebirthhomes.com, and to follow us on social media. So we're Rebirth Homes on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn as well. So we will share more information, including how to register, in the near future.
Fantastic. And will the registration and if a business wants to come in and sponsor, an individual does, that'll all be through rebirthhomes.com as well?
Eventually, but if you are feeling compelled to do that right away, feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to talk through that with you. So the best way to contact me, I'll give you my email address. It's Debbie M, DEBBIEM at rebirthhomes.com, and I would love to connect.
Love it. So I highly encourage everybody, if you have the time in October on the 17th, right? Attend the gala, reserve your spot, because I was there and there wasn't an empty seat in the house, and it was a huge room. So if you do want to attend, it's extremely impactful, goes to a good cause. I would say, without overdoing it, it was life-changing for me. It really was. It opened my eyes to a world that I think a lot of people don't see or ignore. And I encourage going and supporting as well. Well, thank you, Debbie. I appreciate you hanging out with me here on our very first Give I.E podcast. I was adamant about having you here first, just because I love what you do, and I think more people should know about it.
Thank you.
And I think more people want to know about it and support. So thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for inviting us. And we're so glad that you are supporting and advocating for those who don't have a voice. And you're impacting lives through this.
I hope so. I'm just trying to model after you.
No.
Whatever I can do. It took prayer to get me here, and now I'm doing it. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's great.